start the recording here. So welcome to the Agile Project Management Trends for 2021 webinar. This webinar is part of the Agile 20 Reflect Festival. It's an event that is happening this month, in the month of February, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Agile Manifesto. And it's a free event. Actually, there are 600 different presentations happening in February to celebrate this event. This event is, this is a slide showing a little bit more about the event that has sponsors, and it's all managed by volunteers. They are also open for donations, and so if you want to be part of it as a donator, with a donation, please feel free. This festival is also has a code of conduct. So we want to make sure that everybody respects, that we respect each other when we have our comments, when we ask questions, and so we assure that the quality of the event will be preserved. So everybody's free to ask questions, but we need to respect each other's opinion. That's the rule. That's the basic rule that we have in our code of conduct. Something else that I need to mention is that I'm recording this presentation today, and this presentation will be available in the festival in a platform that they will keep this recording there, and also on my platform, and you will have access to this recording afterwards. So since I'm recording, please feel free to open the camera or keep the camera closed, whatever works for you. Just keep in mind that the event is being recorded. All right, so let me get started. Let me talk a little bit about myself very quickly. I'm Alcides Santopietro. I have this organization called Santopietro Project Management. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. I'm also a professor at Université du Québec à Trois-Rivières in Canada. I'm based in Canada, Montreal area here. And I'm also a PMI Montreal Discipline Agile Chapter Champion. I'm a person that promotes Discipline Agile in the community that covered by this chapter, the PMI Montreal chapter. It's a very big, very large chapter, 5,000 plus members. One of the largest in the world, and I'm happy and honored to be representing Discipline Agile in this community. I have 20 years of experience working with projects, international projects in different countries, projects that happen in different industries as well, IT, engineering, aviation, and others. I also worked as a member of the board of PMI Montreal for a few years. I was VP of Operations for Swissport Canada, and I'm an industrial engineer. I have a master's in project management. I'm also PMP. I have a few certifications from PMI ACP, DASSM, and I was part of the PMI Leadership Institute Master's class. So a little bit about myself. The QR code that you see on your screen gives access to my LinkedIn page. So if you are not connected through LinkedIn yet, just point your cell phone to this QR code and it will take you directly to my LinkedIn page. And if you ask for a connection, I'll be more than happy to be part of your professional network. So that's myself. And I also want to mention that I like to show a picture of myself that is more less formal, because I think it's important to say that before being a professional, before being a project manager, I'm a human being, just like you. So I consider all these opportunities that we have to interact as an opportunity to exchange. So I hope that I'm going to teach you something today or share some knowledge with you today, but I'm sure that I'm going to learn with you as well as we move to the questions. By the way, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them on the chat. You can keep the microphone closed or mute during the presentation just to avoid background noise. But other than that, just write your questions at any time in the chat. I'm also reserving some time at the end for more questions, but during the presentation, don't hesitate to interrupt me at any time with questions if you have. I have the chat window open here in front of me, so don't hesitate to do so. All right, Santopietro Project Management is an organization that provides Agile Project Management training, certification preparatory training as well, and mentoring services. That's, well, the website is here, and that's all I have to say about myself and my organization. Now let's jump into the topic of the day, which is trends of the Agile Project Management in this year, 2021. So I'd like to ask you, what do you have in mind? What do you think are trends for this year? So if you can write on the chat just a few words, maybe one word or two, or a statement or a phrase that represents what you have in mind. What do you think is a trend this year when we talk about project management, or more specifically, Agile Project Management? So it's a year that comes after the pandemic. We are still not, I mean, it's still not behind us. Many things changed in the Agile arena last year, in the project management world, last year, this year. So so there are some movements that we see, and I'd like to share 5 of them today with you in this webinar. So if you have something in mind, just write in the chat. Feel free to write your thoughts in the chat, and I will move on now. But feel free to add your comments as we go. So the trend number 1 is the fact that now we can work from anywhere. You can notice that already. I mean, we can work from anywhere. Now we can work from home. Many of us are working from home now. But there's a caveat. We need to know how to do it properly. The thing is, working from home or work from anywhere is now possible. Not only project managers are doing that, but project managers, Scrum Master, developers, product owners, everybody can work from home now. And it's not an exclusivity of a certain group of individuals. Everybody who works in projects can work from home. Obviously, there are some exceptions, professionals that need to be on site. So professionals in the health system or construction. Some professionals cannot work from anywhere because there's a specific location they need to be to interact with specific people to perform their work. But other than that, we realize that we can work from anywhere. And let me just write a comment that Dianelis wrote here. We need to adapt our company strategies and company behaviors to the new market conditions. Yes, absolutely. We need to adapt. Oops, sorry, I'm just admitting some participants here as I speak. We absolutely need to adapt our strategy to the new conditions that we have in the market. That's absolutely right, Dianelis. I agree with you. I think it's we always need to adapt. Let's put in a more generic manner. We always need to adapt to new conditions, but now I think more than ever we are faced to this challenge of the need to adapt to a radical change that we see in the world. So that's absolutely right, Dianelis. Thank you for that comment. So working from anywhere is now possible. The thing is, not only is this possible, but people want to do that. So we have employees, they like the idea of working from home. They can be closer to their family, they have more flexibility, and organizations like the idea as well. Why did organizations like the idea? Because they save money by doing that. And they first thought that they wouldn't be able to do so because of security issues, confidentiality of information, but they ended up realizing that it is possible. And more than that, I mean, some employees get more satisfied, and it doesn't affect the productivity as they thought it could be the case, and the security issues are not really there. And at the end, they save cost with office space and facilities that they had before. So employees like the idea, organizations like the idea, so it is happening, it is a trend. However, there are some consequences when we see this happening. Well, the real estate market is absolutely changing now. So when we talk about company strategies adapting the analysis, imagine those organizations that are in the real estate market, in this industry, because organizations are not renewing their rental contracts. They want less space now. They want 25% of the space that they had before. So imagine how this industry will change from now on. Working from home requires self-management and discipline. Not everybody is ready for that. Not everybody knows how to manage manage himself or manage herself and have discipline to work from home and perform and be productive. And also we've been seeing some health problems coming from this new way of working. So physical problems, so in terms of posture, a bad setup at home, so people stay long hours in front of the computer and they're not sitting properly, so there are physical health problems, and also mental problems. We see a lot of people feeling the lack of human contact, interacting with people and seeing people, talking to people. So we've been seeing this happening. So these are some consequences of working from anywhere. As a professional in the project management field, what we need to know, what we need to learn about from this is that we need to learn new ways to interact with people. Imagine how we do our team meetings now remotely with people working from home. How do we do planning meet? How do we plan a project? How do we do brainstorming sessions? How do we do retrospective meetings with a geographically dispersed team? So we need to learn how to interact with people in this new way of working. When people work from home, people work from anywhere. And we also see, as a consequence of this, we also see new online collaborative tools coming up. So they show up, they appear, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But we see new online collaborative tools providing help to teams, project teams that have people working remotely. So we see a lot of them appearing on the market, and we are going to see even more from now on. So these are some consequences. Keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that at the end, when we are going to talk about your action plan to deal with all these trends. So this is trend number one: we can work from anywhere. Trend number two is that agile approaches are not always better, but they're more versatile than we think. So let's divide that trend into two parts. First of all, we think we have what we see what we call the Agile Fashion now. In the past, we used to talk about project management and related to PMI, the PMBOK guide, Prince2, IPMA, and some other references that we had. Now we're talking about Scrum, Lean, Kanban, Safe, Nexus. There are different methodologies, different techniques. So there's a movement towards the agile methods. Before, we used to talk about the project manager. Now we are talking about Scrum Master. We're talking about the product owner, roles that didn't get much attention until recently. So what happens is that there's this fashion. It calls attention when people say, I'm a Scrum Master, I'm a product owner. It's almost sexy, if I want, if I may, to say that. So people, these roles, these agile techniques are getting lots of attention. What some people conclude by that is that agile is better than predictive. It's here to replace all the techniques that we used to know, that we always knew. And that's not necessarily the case. Actually, agile is not always better than predictive methods. It might be better for in some cases, but not always. We know when we study agile methods, or when we study for certification, when we see the foundations of agile, we see that agile, there are two types of project or work out there, or two main categories of project that we can work with. And one is the project that produces a tangible work. So when we build a bridge, for instance, when we build a car, so this tangible work, these projects that produce a tangible work, they are more suitable to benefit from a predictive project management method. On the other hand, projects that deal with knowledge work, they are more suitable to benefit from agile methods. So we talk about software development, R&D projects, innovation related projects, marketing. So there are some projects that are more suitable to be to benefit from agile methods, and that's why we say agile is not always better. It's better for certain in certain cases, but not all of them. In certain cases, we still benefit more from the use of predictive methods. So keep that in mind. It's not agile is not better than predictive methods everywhere. We just need to position the agile methods properly when we are dealing with projects. However, having said that, what we also need to understand is that agile methods are versatile. That means that we can see, now we see agile methods being applied in industries or sectors other than IT. So we have many organizations coming from many different sectors applying agile methods and benefiting from them. So, and organizations that have nothing to do with IT. So there's a Swissport case. It's a case that I invite you to take a look at. There's the Panera case. Panera case is a case of implementation of discipline agile in this bakery chain, American bakery chain. So absolutely nothing to do with IT, and they've implemented a discipline agile there. There's an article here. This box here just represents an article that I'm going to send to you. Actually, I'm going to send you the reference to this article later on, so you can know more about this, about this trend that we can use agile techniques in industries or sectors other than IT. That's another trend. So let's just recall a little bit. Why do we use agile? Why do we use agile in our projects? Well, every time we have a new project that was never done before, something that has never been done before, exploration, it deals with discovery, with a high level of complexity, need to adapt based on frequent feedback, need fast results. When we have a low maturity level in project management, or when the predictive mindset doesn't exist, all these factors here are favorable to receive the agile methodology. And you can imagine that we don't have these factors present only in IT projects. We can see many other scenarios or environments where these factors are present. And then as a consequence, agile methods can be used there. So it's another way of seeing that trend that we can use agile methods in other industries other than IT. If you work with professional services, sooner or later you'll deal with agile methods. That's for sure, because it will, if it didn't hit you yet, you will soon. Agile methods are here to stay, especially when people understand where they can, what types of projects they can benefit. So that's trend number 2. If we move to the next trend, project management is becoming more than managing projects. So what does that mean exactly? So in the past, we always said that there was this dichotomy, projects versus operations. So we are either talking about projects or we are talking about operations. They were like oil and water. They don't mix up. They don't mix together. They don't go together. Now they are working together. We see more and more methods, techniques, and best practices mixing these two, combining these two types of activities that we see in organizations. So we see DevOps, for instance, that mix the projects and operations. We see discipline agile, including best practices and tools that we can use to really that go to different areas like finance, marketing, sales, much more than just the project management itself. So this is a trend that we see now. Before, another fact that is interesting related to this trend is the fact that in the past, we always talked about planning, scheduling, budget, monitoring, resource management, quality. These are all techniques or themes that we use in projects. However, we can also imagine that operations also need that. we also need to plan operations. We also need to schedule operations. Operations have budgets as well, resources, limited resources, quality. So all techniques that all these concerns that we always had to manage projects, they also apply to operations. And now what we see, techniques like Kanban, product backlog, roadmaps, business value, iterations, not only techniques, but principles or ideas or concepts that we now see in agile projects, they are now being applied to operations as well. So operations now, the operations of an organization, they are borrowing these techniques from the project management world and benefiting from them as well. And we can't forget that some of these ideas here, like the Kanban method, we have Ishikawa, Kaizen, Lean, even the Lean method, the Lean concept comes from the operations. They all come from the automobilistic industry in the 80s in Japan. So from some reason, all these techniques that were born in an industrial environment, they went to the project world, and then now we are realizing that they can also be used to the operations again. So it's a funny movement. But all of that to say that what we see now is that these techniques are now working together. So when we deliver a project that has a beginning and an end, our work doesn't end when the project ends. We also need to take care of the product of the project and how it's going to be managed by the organization once we finish the project. So it is really a combined intention now to make sure that we deliver business results. So more than ever, managing projects now is becoming delivering business results, and we are going to see that in references in the PMBOK, in Discipline Agile, and many other references related to project management. We are going to see that we can see that we go beyond the project life cycle. It's more than that. Now we want to deliver business results. Trend number 4, it's not all black or white. Hybrid models are the way forward. So why do we have hybrid models in our world? Because we shift too quickly from predictive to agile. So what happened is that we used to have all these predictive methods. We had the PMI there, we have Gantt charts everywhere. And then somehow we started hearing about agile methods, and then some organizations said we need to be agile. We want to be agile because everybody is agile. We want that too. And then we just moved to agile without knowing exactly why or how or the benefits that we were getting by doing that. And then we realized that the problems that we had in the predictive methods that motivated us to move to agile were not being solved by the agile methods. So we are still not solving the problem. And then the conclusion is that we went too fast to agile. So what we want now is something in between. We want a hybrid method. We want to use good practices that make sense to us coming from the predictive methods that we know, and good practices that come from the agile methods. And we want to combine them. We want to use the best of these two worlds for our reality. So we want to have options. There is one statement coming from PMI that goes like this: from frameworks to whatever works. So PMI, that used to be very, very strict in the standards and the framework, now is saying, look, whatever works for you, it's fine. That's what matters. I don't want to impose any framework. I want you to have options. Discipline Agile says, choose your wow. Wow here is an acronym that stands for way of working. So choose your way of working. This book here, by the way, for those who are members of the PMI, I see that Asma is PMP. If there's someone else that is PMP here in the group, you have access to this book for free. Download this book. It's on the PMI's website. This is it's a really thick book, but it's a compendium of hundreds and hundreds of techniques. It is not a framework, it's a toolbox. So this word here, we're going to see more and more. We want toolbox. I want a toolbox that I can pick and choose the tools that work better for each situation. I want to be able to tailor processes, and I want agnostic methods. I don't want to stick to names and titles. I want agnostic methods, and I'm going to adapt these methods to my reality. That's the trend that we see now. We want to have options. We don't want to stick to one methodology or another methodology. We just want to have options, and hybrid is the way to go, because a hybrid method is a method that brings parts of other methods in a way that as a whole, this new combination makes sense to me. So that's what we want to do. That's what we see organizations doing more and more. Trend number 5, certifications. New certifications appear every day, and that's a consequence of the first 4 trends that I just showed. Provided that we have a new movement and hybrid methods and hybrid ideas, agile popping up, so we see a movement with certifications that exist in the market. So old certifications, not old, but certifications that exist for some time, like the PMP, which is by far the most popular certification from PMI, now is redesigned. 50% of the exam in your exam to become PMP now is agile. So that's a radical change. The PMBOK goes in the same direction. We have the 7th edition coming out, I don't know, in the next weeks or months. And the new PMBOK is completely redesigned now, maybe the most radical change since the beginning. PMI ACP certification has a new role now as part of what we call the journey to business agility that I'm going to show you in a second. SAFE. SAFE is receiving a lot of attention in corporations now. It's really getting lots of attention. And we have now also what we call micro credentials, like this one in blue here, the micro credential issued by PMI. So Agile Hybrid Project Pro micro credential. So this is an interesting credential, micro credential. It doesn't require you a lot of study to get this credential, but when you get it, you demonstrate to the market that you know about that topic. So micro credentials. So imagine how many of them we might see. So new certifications appear every day. So we have here CAPM, PMP, PGMP, PFMP, Portfolio Program Management Professional. So these certifications that always existed from PMI. We have the new agility, new journey to business agility represented on this rectangle here, in this image here. We have the micro credential here. The certified Scrum Master certification from Scrum Alliance, and all the series from Scrum Alliance here. We have the SAFE series here. We have a lot of certifications on the market. What is important is that some of them are interesting, and there's more, and there's many more. Some of them are interesting, others not really. That you need to determine which ones make sense to you. Depending on your position, your moment in your career, depending on your ambitions, what you want to achieve in your career, there are good certifications for you. There are certifications that will be a waste of energy, waste of time and money. So be conscious that there are many certifications out there. You need to understand which ones are good for you. All right. Now, 5 trends that I just showed you. Oh, I think I have a question here, Veronica.
Yes. First, I arrived late, and I don't know if I can ask during your explanation, or should I ask in the end?
Yeah, there will be some time at the end, but you can ask a question if you want.
It's based on this screen, this PowerPoint, this page. When you mention Agile Hybrid Project Pro, for me it looks very interesting for someone who wants to start, for beginners. I don't know if you can, or if it is the moment, or we can talk later. But how do you see this certification for beginners?
Okay, that's a good question, Veronica. And actually, indeed, the micro credentials have the intention to be almost like badges that you add to your name or to your CV or to your LinkedIn profile, showing that you know some specific topics about related to project management. So in this case here, it shows that you know a little bit about hybrid project management. So you obtain this micro credential. It's not an expensive credential. It's not complicated to study, not complicated to obtain, and it helps you demonstrate. It helps you learn about this specific topic and demonstrate to the market that you know that you have that knowledge. For beginners, indeed, it is a good option. It is an interesting option. Normally, I think that the idea is to complement some certifications that you might have already or some experience that you already have. But for beginners, it might be a very interesting option if you want to pursue one of these micro credentials. Exactly because they don't require experience, unlike, for instance, the PMP. The PMP, you need to have 3 years of experience managing projects before applying for the PMP. So that's not the case for the micro credentials. You just apply, you take a course and then write and take the exam and get the certification. So it might be a good option indeed. I think it's interesting to see that. We also have for entry-level professionals, we have the DASM here. If you want to go deep in Agile, straight to Agile, the DASM could be an interesting one because it doesn't require any experience. It's part of the journey to business agility. The two next ones in this scheme here are the ACP and the Discipline Agile Senior Scrum Master. These two ones represented in orange, they do require some experience before. So for beginners, they wouldn't be the most interesting ones. So DASM is an interesting one, the micro credentials as well. And here at the top, we see CAPM. CAPM is like a mini PMP. So the CAPM is also a very good, very interesting certification for entry-level professionals that want to know, in a general way, best practices of project management. All right. Okay, so
thank you.
No problem. So certifications, there are many of them. There will be more. Just note that you need to know what they are and you need to understand which ones make sense to you. Now, 5 trends explained. What is your action plan now? And I think this is maybe one of the most important part of this presentation today. What do you do with all this information? How do you prepare for that, for these trends and for this new world? So I'm proposing here an action plan for you. So this action plan has 7 steps, 7 tasks for you. First, learn how to work effectively remotely. So if you need to work remotely, you need to know how to do that effectively. And I'm not talking about mastering the Zoom tool and knowing that you need to unmute yourself or mute yourself. That's not about that. I mean, that's it too, but it's way beyond that. I'm talking about how do you motivate your teams remotely, working remotely? How do you deal with issues? How do you deal with conflict? How you negotiate remotely? How you plan a project remotely? How you do brainstorming sessions? So know how to do that remotely. That you will need this skill. Learn new online tools. It goes together with the previous one. Learn new online tools. There are many of them out there, and some of them are very popular. So don't stick to the traditional Microsoft project and say, look, I know how to manage a project. I know Microsoft project. No, Microsoft project is not enough anymore. You need to know now online tools. Learn new project management methods. So if you are very focused on PMI related methods or some other methods, learn others. Learn other methods. Have a toolbox in front of you so you can pick and choose the method that makes more sense to you. So learn new project management methods. I will stop because Mariam has a question.
Yeah, I have a question about tools. When I'm talking about tools, it is Primavera or Jira or other tools or online tools like Workdays or I don't know. It's
good question. I have the next slide will show you a few tools
okay.
that I'm referring to here, and you are going to receive after this training here, access to a platform. Actually, you already have access to that platform, but you're going to have I put on that platform a list of maybe 20 or 25 different online tools that I recommend you to take a look.
Okay.
Take a look at. So Primavera might be, but Primavera is not really an agile tool per se. Is like a Microsoft project on steroids type of tool.
Yeah.
And we use Primavera to work in projects, mainly engineering related projects. And you also mentioned Jira. Jira is a good example. Yeah, that's a good example. That's a very interesting tool, very sophisticated, very powerful. Not everybody knows how to take the most out of it because they have so many possibilities, but it's indeed one of the most popular ones. And I'm talking about Miro, Trello, Monday, Slack, and there are many of them. And as I said, I mean, you are going to receive a list of 20 or 25, I don't remember how many. There are so many different tools. There are tools that are very specific. There's a list of tools only to do retrospective meetings in your projects. So these are the tools I'm referring to.
Okay, how can I choose between the different tools that you are referring to? 21, 23 tools are a lot for me.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Mariam, and I'm glad you've asked it, because there's no recipe. There's no recipe on how to choose, just like there's no recipe on how to choose the right method for your project. So that's why you need to know them to be able to have options. And then depending on each situation, depending on each case, depending on the challenges that you have in your project, some tools might be more interesting than others.
Okay.
So there's no short answer for this question, unfortunately, but it is indeed a good question.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, no problem. So moving to the next one, research real cases of implementation of methodologies. And I mentioned a couple of them, Swissport and the Panera case. Oh, sorry about that. My dog is making some noise. So research real cases of implementation of these methods. So learn how these methods are being implemented in real organizations. Understand the certifications. Understand them, understand the strong aspects of each of them, the cost, how much each of them costs, what the benefit each of them will bring to you in your career, and identify what are the most suitable ones for you. Have the right partners in crime. I call them partners in crime. So have the right mentors, training providers, communities of practice. Join groups of people, have good, interesting training providers, mentors to help you achieve your career goals the right way and in the most interesting way. And be ready to work anywhere in the world. And when I say be ready to work anywhere in the world, I'm talking about virtually, right? Be ready to work virtually anywhere in the world means that you might be exposed to projects that are happening, in China, in a country in Europe, or in Africa, in South America, North America. So teams are now geographically dispersed. Be ready to work in this context. And the main element that I would like to bring here is the cultural aspect involved in these work environments. So when you work with teams that are geographically dispersed, you have different cultures working together, and knowing how to deal with these different cultures is not something that is always easy. So you need to learn that. You need to be ready to work anywhere in the world virtually. All right, so here are some examples that are online tools on the left here. So if you never heard about these tools, Nitro, Slack, Trello, and Miro, just do that today. Go on their website, just check it out, just know what they do, because that's really the online tools, that the type of online tools, not necessarily these ones, but these are the type of online tools that you should know. And these are maybe popular ones, so that's why I'm mentioning them. As I said, you're going to receive a list with many more. Panera Bread. So that's the example that I showed you about the implementation of Discipline Agile. I strongly recommend that you take a look at this example. There is a reference to it also that I'm going to send you. This picture that I love is about training and coaching and mentoring. So this is a reference to that, to what I just mentioned before. Have the right partner in your journey, in your career journey. And this book here is absolutely fantastic. I love this book. It's the Culture Map from by Erin Meyer. So this book here is, I would say, it's a reference, almost. He explains a lot of cultural differences and how to deal with them, how to interpret them, how to work with people from different cultures. So it's really a good book. I leave as a recommendation here for you. All right, so that's what I have. That's part of what I had for you today. Now we're going to open for more questions, but before we open for questions, I need to tell you two things. First, you now have access to all these resources. So just after this webinar closes, I'm gonna give you access to the recording of this webinar. It might take a few hours to upload the video, but you'll have it before the end of the day. You have access to this ebook, 2021 Agile Project Management Trends, links to the articles that I mentioned here today, a list of online collaborative tools that I just mentioned, and more. So you're going to have access to all of this, and you're going to receive an email just after this webinar with all the details on how to put your hands on all of these resources, okay? The second thing I'd like to mention is that this webinar has a perfect timing, because next week I'm starting a new group of the 5-day Agile Challenge. If you are interested, it is a series of 5 60-minute sessions, so 5 days, 1 hour per day, and where the participants will learn Agile, the Agile mindset, Lean, Scrum, Kanban, Discipline Agile, the Agile Project Management Office, and more. So it is for the participants of this webinar here, you can use this coupon AgileFast50 to have 50%, no, well, it comes up to 50%, but $50 off the regular price. It's being the 5-day Agile Challenge is being sold for $97. If you use this coupon here, it's only $47. So $47 for 5 sessions, 5 live sessions, 1 hour per day. 5 PDUs for those who are PMP, from Tuesday to Saturday at noon Eastern time. The sessions will be live, but they will also be recorded. So if you miss any of them, you can watch them later. All right, so this is the coupon. You're going to receive all the details also by email. And also there's a whole page, web page, that you can see all the details of this training. But I will leave you with this coupon here today. It's part of the gift that I give you, the gifts that I give you as a participant of this webinar. If you want to enroll, it starts on Tuesday. You'll pay only $47 instead of $97. That's the regular price for 5 live sessions. And that's it. That's what I have for you. If you want to take a look at the Agile Challenge now, just point your cell phone here to this QR code. I'm going to send you the details by email later on if you miss. But now we have some time for more questions, and I'd like to thank you for your participation now, and I'm here for you. I see Asma, who opened the microphone. I don't know if you have any questions. Or...
Yeah, hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So, as you can see, I have done my PMP and I have done my risk management professional certificate. I'm also doing my construction project management course from George Brown, which I'll complete by August, and I'll get my certification on that. I have worked in construction project management in Philippines, and here I'm right now working as freelancing on IT project, and I have worked on manufacturing project here in Canada. My main focus is to be in construction project going year after. Even though I'm open for IT, but I'm more keen on working in construction management. But I also I'm thinking, so being in construction management, getting this Scrum Master certification and also doing PMI ACP, will it help?
That's a very good question, Asma. And let me tell you something right now. You mentioned just 2 certifications, the Scrum Master certification and PMI ACP, right? And can I just recall which certifications you have? ICPMP, I see the RMP, which is the risk management professional. What else?
And I'm doing my construction project management from George Brown College.
And eventually you're going to get that one too. Okay, these certifications are really maybe the most aligned with the construction world. So it's a very good combination. Bravo, congrats on the choices you've made so far, because you are really aligned with what you want to do. Your presence in the IT world, and also your interest in agile methods for construction might make me suggest that the Scrum Master might not be an interesting option for you, because the Scrum Master certification is, despite the fact that it's a very easy certification to obtain. Honestly, if you take the course from the Scrum Alliance and obtain you can obtain the certification very easily. I don't see that happening in a construction world. Scrum Master is much more focused, is still very focused on the software development industry, and I don't think you're going to apply a lot of what you're going to learn in your construction environment, and you might it might generate some frustration on your side, and also if you want to push some of those principles, the organization might be a little bit resistant, and I don't think it will be maybe the best fit, at least for now. On the other hand, if you take a more generic training, and when I say generic, I don't mean that they are less intense or less interesting, but generic in the sense that they cover a broader spectrum of the agile world. That could be an interesting thing, more interesting for you, because that will give you more like the idea of the toolbox. Because in a construction sector, you might not be able to apply a full agile methodology, but you can bring some parts, some pieces of it to benefit your project. So I think for you, it's more important to have an interesting toolbox at your disposal, so under your belt, than go specifically on Scrum Master, as you said. So having said that, PMI ACP is a good option for you, and Discipline Agile as well. If you have the opportunity to learn about Discipline Agile, it could be a very interesting option as well, because it goes with this idea of toolbox, and it goes beyond the project management scope. It goes to the operations, and I think you are going to like that. The PMI ACP is interesting because you are going to see not an in-depth view of the Scrum methodology as you would if you had the certified Scrum Master certification, but you are going to be exposed to the Agile mindset in general, which is absolutely the most important part of the PMI ACP certification, in my opinion. And then you're going to be exposed to Scrum, Lean, Kanban, successful factors to make teams work. You're going to see value-driven. How do you work on how to make sure that you are delivering value to your customer, and other aspects that are more generic and maybe more interesting for your environment. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yes, it does, because I was also thinking the same. My focus is on construction, so, and Scrum is more about IT, so it shouldn't kind of contradict with my knowledge of construction. So, but thank you for making it clear and elaborating on that. I'll look into PMI ACP for sure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, it's my pleasure. Any other questions? No further questions. Oh, someone maybe? No?
Okay, so I have one more question.
Absolutely.
So I want to, so what are the other certification other than PMI ACP, which I mentioned already? I'm keen on doing that. What is the other certification you recommend to be more focused on construction project, which can, add in value to my career, my knowledge?
Well, I think being more the pure side of it, I think you already have what it takes. The PMP would be the number one. I would suggest you're already there. The risk management is interesting. It's not. I don't see many people with that certification, but it's good for you that you have it. And construction and risk, they go together, right? So you have a lot of risk management in your construction world. You're already having a more comprehensive course at John Brown, as you said. So I think you are pretty much covered with these certifications for the construction side. I can't think about anything else that could go in that direction specifically. So as you said, I mean, besides the PMI ACP, I would go with Discipline Agile. That is, it's not specific for construction, but it will give you something. You know, this PMI ACP and Discipline Agile they are a good combination. Actually, there's this journey, this scheme here that I showed you, show that it combines well. But I don't see anything else in the construction world that could be linked with your objectives. I think you have a good combination, a very good combination already. I mean, it's interesting. We don't see this type of precision often. When I talk to people, you know, you have very clear in your mind what you want, and you already have the certifications or the programs that make sense to that in that direction. So it's not easy to see people with this type of determination and accuracy in what you're doing. So again, congrats. I can't think about anything, but if you want an introduction to the agile methods that you can apply to the construction sector, you know, the 5-day agile challenge is an option. It's a low-cost option if you want. It doesn't give you a certification at the end. It will give you just your 5 PDUs. But in terms of certification, I would go with the PMI ACP, as you said, or a Discipline Agile certification as the next step, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to push you to do any certification that doesn't make sense to you.
I agree. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. It really helps me clear my mind, like on my to move forward from here after. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem. All right. So we are getting to the end here. Our time is. Oh, Marian has a question.
Yeah, it's about PMP.
Yeah.
Can you advise me if we are taking PMP, we have knowledge about Agile, and in the same time we have knowledge of the classic methods. So if I will take PMP. Is it enough for Agile, or I have to take some others certifications?
Okay, good question. The PMP now covers some Agile, a little bit of the Agile mindset. I mean, as I said, 50% of the exam now is about Agile, the Agile mindset. If you don't have any certification and you are eligible,
I have a Scrum Master.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So the Scrum Master, you have the Scrum Master, excellent. So you already have the basic knowledge about Agile that you've learned when you studied for the Scrum Master, and you have the certification. The PMP would be a very interesting next step. It is by far the most popular and is the certification that everybody knows. All the companies know, everybody knows. So it will give you a little bit more of the flavor of the Agile now, because until last year it was not the case, but now it is the case. So I would go there. If you want a certification that is a little bit stronger in the Agile side, less strong in the more general project management, again, the PMI ACP is an option because it's more targeted to Agile, but it doesn't give you the predictive best practices. If you want an interesting combination of both, the PMP is definitely the best option. If you are eligible for that, you must have 3 years of experience.
I book an exam for 17 of April.
Oh, so you're preparing for that already? Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. No, okay. So you are on the right track. I would say, so you're studying already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that after the PMP, maybe we could. And by the way, what I'm going to say to you now, I mean, anyone in this conference here, if you want to get in contact with me in 1 month from now, when you have new questions or things change in your career, just feel free to contact me through LinkedIn or through my email. So Mariam, if after the PMP, I think now you need to concentrate on PMP, right? That's what you need to do, period, right? But after the PMP, when you get it and you'll be happy with your certification and you're going to start thinking about the next step, then you could consider some options, because you're going to have the basic, not a basic, but a very strong foundation in the traditional methods, and also a little bit of the flavor of the Agile. Then you could go to other certifications like the PMI ACP or the Discipline Agile Scrum Master, or the Discipline Agile Senior Scrum Master, the DASSM, could be a good option for you after the PMP as well. So I would go between PMI ACP and DASSM as the next options for you. But that will depend also on your interests and your career goals. And that's why I said, look, focus on the PMP now. Maybe when you get the PMP, send me an email, let me know, and then we can have another conversation. Okay. And I can maybe provide you a more precise advice.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Look, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your participation, for your great questions. As I said, I'm going to stop the recording, and the video will be uploaded in maybe a couple of hours or so. And you're going to receive an email just after we close this webinar with the details on how to access all the resources that I'm giving to you. And if you want to get the chance to do the 5-day Agile Challenge next week, just use this coupon. I'll be more than happy to have you in the group next week. Or if you have any more questions about this program, just let me know. Other than that, have a great day. Let's keep in touch, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.